You know, when you picture a city, you probably think of skylines, right? Buildings reaching for the sun. But what if I told you that right under our feet, there's a whole other world, a hidden world, filled with subterranean cities, some ancient, some modern, but every single one with a fascinating story to tell.
So yeah, let's get right into it. The biggest question is, why? I mean, what makes entire civilizations choose to live in the dark? It's more than just a cool fact, it's a really fundamental question about human survival and our own ingenuity. So let's go on a little journey to find the answer.
We're about to uncover the powerful motivations, the real reasons we dig down. We'll explore how fear, the simple need to survive the elements, and our incredible capacity for reinvention have all shaped these hidden worlds beneath our feet.
Okay, first up, and this is probably the biggest, most primal reason of all, fear. Simple, raw fear. From ancient invaders to the terrifying threat of total annihilation, that gut instinct to hide underground has led to some of the most incredible engineering feats humanity has ever achieved.
Our first stop takes us to Derinkuyu in Turkey, and this place, it's just unbelievable. Get this, back in 1963, a local guy knocks down a wall in his basement and stumbles upon a secret entrance, not to a hidden room, but to an entire, ancient, sprawling city. Can you even imagine that surprise?
And the scale of this place? It's absolutely staggering. We're talking about a city, carved by hand, that could shelter 20,000 people across 18 floors. This wasn't some basic hideout. No way. It was a totally self-sufficient world down there, with churches, schools, stables, even wineries. And to top it all off, it was protected by these massive, round stone doors that you could only roll shut from the inside. Talk about the ultimate fortress.
You know, that ancient impulse to dig for safety? It never really went away. It just evolved. Fast forward to the 20th century, and the fear of invaders on horseback was replaced by this existential dread of nuclear war. And as you'd expect, our underground fortresses just exploded in scale.
And there are two projects from that era that are just mind-blowing. In the UK, you had Burlington, this top-secret city built just for the government. And over in China, they built Dixia Cheng, a public shelter so massive they nicknamed it the Underground Great Wall. These weren't just bunkers, you guys. They were entire cities just waiting for a war that thankfully never happened.
So let's zoom in on Burlington for a second, because the design is just wow. It was built to keep 4,000 key government people, including the Prime Minister, alive and running the country for 3 whole months after a nuclear attack. It had its own power station, an actual underground lake for fresh water, a hospital, even a BBC studio to broadcast to whoever was left. And get this, they had a pneumatic tube system. You know, those pipes that use air to shoot message canisters around, straight out of an old spy movie.
But it's not always about fear, right? Sometimes we're not digging to hide from each other. We're digging to hide from the planet itself. It's about engineering our environment when the world on the surface just becomes too extreme to handle. For a perfect example, let's head to Coober Pedy in the Australian outback. It's the opal mining capital of the world. Now, on the surface, temperatures can hit a scorching 50 degrees Celsius. That's about 122 Fahrenheit. So what do? You live underground. In these homes they call dugouts, the temperature stays at a perfect, comfortable 25 degrees all year round. It's so effective that today, something like 60% of the town lives down there.
And believe it or not, this works for the exact opposite problem, extreme cold. Just look at Montreal, Canada. They built what's known as the RÉSO. It's this massive 33-kilometer-long network that connects everything: metro stations, malls, offices, you name it. Every single day, 500,000 people use it to get around the city without ever having to step out into that brutal Canadian winter. It's a pretty genius modern solution. So this brings up a really fascinating question. What happens to these incredible underground places when the threats they were built for, the invaders, the bombs, the crazy weather, what happens when they just fade away? Well, it turns out they often get a whole new lease on life. Let's go back to Burlington, that UK nuclear bunker. So that blast-proof, perfectly climate-controlled environment that was designed to save the government, well, it turned out to be perfect for something completely different. After it was decommissioned, parts of it were sold off, and now they're used to store millions of pounds worth of fine wine. How's that for a pivot? From national security to luxury wine cellar. And sometimes, the reinvention is even more incredible. Over in Iran, they rediscovered this ancient 2,500-year-old underground water system called the Qanat,
back in 1999. But instead of just turning it into a dusty museum, they transformed it into a modern shopping complex. And the craziest part? They actually restored its ancient 3-layer water filtration system and is still purifying water for irrigation today. That's just amazing.
But maybe the most dramatic and, frankly, the most complex reinvention is what's happened in Beijing. That massive Dixia Cheng bunker network, the one built for nuclear war, it's now the unofficial home for an estimated 1 million people. They're often called the rat tribe, mostly young migrant workers who simply can't afford the city's insane rent prices. So for them, the reason for living underground isn't some future threat, but a very real, present-day economic pressure.
Okay, so we've taken this deep dive, literally, beneath the surface. What does it all really tell us about who we are? What's the big takeaway from all these hidden worlds?
Well, when you lay all these examples out next to each other, Derinkuyu, Burlington, Coober Pedy, you start to see a really clear pattern. It doesn't matter if we're driven by ancient fears, Cold War paranoia, or just trying to deal with the climate. We consistently look to the ground beneath our feet for answers. It's a timeless story of human adaptation, really.
So in the end, these underground cities are so much more than just architectural marvels or, holes in the ground. They're like a physical record of our own story. They are a mirror reflecting our deepest fears, but also our incredible resilience and our endless, brilliant capacity for reinvention.
And that leaves us with one last big thought to chew on. As we're facing all these new challenges on the surface, climate change, overcrowded cities, all these stories of underground life suddenly feel a lot less like ancient history. They might actually be a blueprint for the future. So the question is the next chapter of human civilization going to be written not up in the stars, but deep beneath our feet?